Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, there's two major areas of interest for most people, and that's radionics, which is non-Hertzian energies, and the frequency generators, the Rife technology, which use Hertzian frequencies with a very large spectrum of frequencies using. And a lot you'll find all over the web and everything else that are using 430, 780. There's a whole bunch of frequencies out there that are claiming to do different things. And certainly frequencies are fascinating. I think that's something that needs to be examined. And I think there's a place for frequency technology. Again, because of the problems with laws, profiteers, people who are brainwashed and really have a horse in the race, so to speak, through the medical establishment. Don't give any of this stuff credit that any of this would work. But obviously pumping frequencies into you is going to have a bio effect. Now, what that is, we don't know. What frequencies do what? Well, there's a lot of people who think they know frequencies work, and they're all over YouTube, etc. Now, this unit is a very inexpensive $35 little Zapper. Now, the Zapper technology has been made popular by Hilda Clark, the cancer researcher, who picked up from Raymond Rife, who did all these frequency works in the 20s and 30s and past that. But here again, because nothing medically is legal unless the medical mafia allows it, and that means something they can make money off of, we don't really know. And of course, certainly these kind of things can be purchased pretty much everywhere, and there are Rife machines that are thousands of dollars. There are ones like this that put out just a particular frequency. Now, this is a frequency that is 14 to 15 hertz. Very, very low hertz. This is a actual device that is based on the totally discredited person called Croft. That's right, old Croft boy, Don Croft, who basically has no idea what he's doing, has, as usual, got into these kind of technologies. And this is something that you can make for a couple of bucks because there's not much in here and so forth. So what do we do with everything first? And we'll talk about this. I've used this unit for 3 or 4 years, and I'll give you my feedback on it as well. So let's, first of all, what do? Well, you always check whether the item, is it putting off or have negative energy in general? So is this positive or negative energy? With, of course, positive being clockwise and bad energy being counterclockwise. So we're getting a clockwise spin, which means it's not, and that's off. You should always check things on and off. I've found units that put off huge amount of negative energies, even when they're off, and when you turn them on, they spin like a helicopter. Is this putting out positive or negative energies? Okay, and that's what you want to check first. Now, all positive means is that it's not producing a field that is bad. Is it a field that is doing anything? So the whole idea is that's the problem here. Does this do anything? And you always check first whether because if something spins in a negative field information, well, you don't even want to bother with it. But since this is positive generally, but it doesn't mean it does anything. It just doesn't mean it's harmful, but it doesn't mean it's a good healer. So we have to understand that. So these are very, very simple units. You've got this little plastic case. You've got these two little copper plates. In many instances now, they're using pennies, which are not really pure copper, by the way. They're mostly zinc, but Don Croft, you wouldn't know that. Of course, he ain't talking too much lately since he kind of is gone because orgone polluted his mind. So the whole idea is that, and this is not an orgone zapper. So this puts out 14 to 15 hertz. It's not a zapper. Now, here's what it looks like inside. It's just a simple little unit which is being powered by a 9-volt battery. And it just has the guts here for those who think that's interesting. You can see. So he's got a little resistor in there to make sure he puts out that energy. And I haven't checked if this really is putting out 14 to 15. So I don't know whether it really does that or not. I haven't quite rigged all my stuff up to do that quite recently, but so all you do is it's battery powered. It's this. It's, what is that? About 2 inches wide. It's nice and small. And that's pretty much the unit. And the 9-volt battery is in there and works for a long period of time. It's basically a nice little compact, easy to use unit. And you're supposed to leave this on your body for long periods of time. And I have done this, and a great way is you basically sleep with it. You tuck it someplace on your body, over a troubled area, wherever it may be, and see what you get from it. So, I mean, that's pretty much how it works. You do get, from these copper plates, I have found that it does irritate the skin and slightly burn it. So I don't know if that's a good way of getting frequencies or not. You're getting much in your body through 2 little copper plates. And of course, these are a little tarnished, but it's you should keep those polished if you're going to use it. And again, this is only $35, and very typical of Don Croft stuff that he makes things very inexpensive. And of course, that's his market of selling to people who are delusional, thinking he knows something. The problem with Don Croft and anything that he touches and handles, and of course, I did not get anything that had the ridiculous and stupid orgone in there that is nothing more than toxic energy. And Don Croft has been totally and completely discredited by the fact that he is apparently working with and has worked with, so it is alleged. He certainly knows him and talks about him. Karl Hans, the Satanist Welts, who made lots of toxic technologies and now died at very young from his own toxic technologies, including his wife, and a lot of the family have all died from the great orgonite. Hey, put it on your pizza. So the whole idea is that we have all that stuff out there, and Croft has been selling this con artist orgone stuff for years, saying that it does amazing things, just little shreds of metal with no proof of anything, and he knows absolutely nothing. He's basically just a huckster and always has been. And of course, he's in with the entire group, as I allege, or was involved with, all the entire group of the criminal orgonists who have been supporting their criminal organizations through the sale of orgone, which is the majority of the orgone people. And then we have all the stupid toxic resin-made items as well. So, I mean, it's totally discredited field. And the fact that there are lots of people who are paid to post things. I got healed myself from foot and mouth disease. I'm bald now, though. But the whole idea is that to the fact that there are people that state this and state it from this ridiculous technology, which has nothing to do with the genius Wilhelm Reich, who really was a scientist and who was onto something, but we just don't know what's going on there either. He died young. He was persecuted to a degree. So we just don't know what's going on and how healthy it was. It didn't seem that Wilhelm Reich, regardless of his harassment, was all that well. And I don't know how many people were being cured or not at his clinics back in the 50s. But, you know, that's quite a different time when, if you were condensing energies, we didn't have hundreds of nuclear power plants and all the things that are polluting this planet that you suck energy in. So, but to think that a little bit of this and that is going to make to draw in energies is absurd. But if you accumulate energies, instead of using antenna technology like tachyons and neutrons, which are pulling in very fast energy that doesn't get polluted, unlike orgone, which does, is ridiculous. So the fact that this has the stamp of approval and has originally designed by Don Croft makes it a problematic to begin with. If this had orgone in it, there would be real problems, and I'm sure it would spin negative. But I don't have one of those. I don't use orgone or buy any of those products and support those con artists. But you got to remember the industry. The industry is a bunch of people lying to you, telling you there's results, because it's all part of the criminal conspiracy technology that they make a lot of money from. Now, you don't have to believe it or not, and you don't have to believe the sky is blue, water is wet, and sand is sandy. You don't have to believe any of that. Just live like a fool, pay money to these con artist criminals, and you will get what you got, the screwed up world we live in. So, needless to say, I'm always open-minded by things, even though what I just said maybe you think I'm not, but I really am. So I bought this, particularly because it was inexpensive. And, it's always nice to find things that, everybody can kind of afford and may help them. After all, a regular prescription from your doctor can cost you $100 or more very easily. But, as I said, these things are made very, very low cost, obviously. And I think probably that's a fair price for this. If it works, then it doesn't. The bottom line is that I've used this for several years. It hasn't helped me one iota with anything. And, as an older person, little things here and there, you should notice changes. So the fact that they think that this is, you have to wear it 24/7, it's going to, well, I don't know what that does. This is the illusion that you have to take huge amounts of things, use it all the time. And this has been the attitude of people all on products. And it's actually the opposite. If something works for you, it should work for you relatively fast and easy. And yes, you need to use it daily for a few hours. But if you have to get results from this, that you have to wear it all the time, well, that's a weak technology. Now, I've looked on the net of the frequencies, and these frequencies come up for better concentration, mental acuity, etc. Most healing frequencies are in much higher realms. Now, getting back to Hulda Clark, which this is a ripoff of, and of course, all he does is rip people off. Now, he has no original invention because, after all, he's hooked up with those others, or so it is alleged. So the whole idea is that these are problematic people that don't know any idea what they're talking about. But Hulda Clark, who picked up from Rife and had clinics in Mexico and wrote 2 huge books on the cure for all cancer, and, her information and theories are very interesting, and I think there is some validity to it. But, of course, she died at 72 from cancer. Something's wrong there. So whatever she believed and was doing, and of course treating many people in Mexico, and from what I understand, very unsuccessfully, we have problems again. I mean, we've got to get to the point where is there validity to it? Now, for this kind of money, and as everything bioenergy based is, it's really based on you. So the whole idea is that since you're unusual bioenergy itself, how does these kind of bioactive things work? Well, they're different for everybody. Is there a general validity to something? Well, I mean, again, we have to talk about the fact that we are not in the actual reality that we need to have here of living in a particular fantasy world. And the fantasy world is the fact of that, these people know what they're talking about when we have histories of people. Now, Hulda Clark died of cancer, yet she said she could cure it. Now, for the intelligent researcher, you look at all the research she did over many years and you give it a judgment. And there's some good information there about parasites, etc. But her zappers don't work. This zapper doesn't work. Do any zappers work? Does the Rife technology in general work? We don't know. There's certainly a lot of people selling them, as I said, for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and people selling them for $35 like this one, even to a few hundred. We don't know. And but from my personal, and I always want to see something, you've got to prove it to me personally. There's the gossip, there's all the paid people to go online to support people like this guy does, saying they throw shards of aluminum filings on the ground and it rains. Gee, just think of all those aluminum cans that have been tossed out of cars. You'd think the whole planet would be just filled with rain and water and there'd be no cloud busters. So this kind of nonsense, pretty much based on the other criminal fraud, Karl Hans Welz, who's been proven to be a Satanist, doing some really horrendous satanic things. So this is what this guy's involved with, and he tries to keep himself a little bit apart from it, but I allege the fact that they were working together and have the same agenda. And they build garbage. They're orgone, and all orgone orgonite in particular, there is absolutely no proof any of it works, and there's a lot of toxicity there from the hundreds of people I've talked to who have problems with those machines and have become sick, and the long list of people who have died. So when you hook it all together, we got to wake up, buddy. Time to get up. The whole idea is it doesn't work. It's crap. It has no validity. Now, if you want to get into and get a decent frequency machine where you can adjust and research it, etc., that you can. I don't get into that right at this point. We will be getting into that in the future because I want to find out the validity of this. As we are doing with Radionics, which is using the essence of creation. And there's an awful lot of good information there from credible people over a long period of time, not from a Satanist and his buddies. Who are directly connected to, as they are today, by the way, the people who have taken over from the very dead Wells, who, oh, God. So the whole idea is that, it didn't do much for him. So the whole idea is that, but the person who has taken over from him and everything else and his associates are Satanists as he was. It's an entire organization of evil people who are polluting you with toxic stuff, but this is how they make part of their money from the criminal conspiracy hooked up to all the orgone people, which I allege. So it's not too hard to find out. Look, they are all connected to it, and they have told me directly, one of his associates, that he is a Satanist. Isn't that interesting? So get your Satanist technology. They're all good for you. So the whole idea is that this is the reality. So the point is, when you get into anything that is connected to Don Croft and his little organization, there's no credibility at all. And what there is great, great questions, pretty much confirm facts that this guy was never into anything good, and this guy was pretty bizarre. The fact is he died in some sort of bizarre hang gliding, whatever kind of accident he was in, because his mind was so befuddled by orgone, he couldn't make a proper decision of what to do or how to do it. So the whole idea has got massive head traumas because he thought he was a bird. So the whole idea is that these are complete nonsense. So I would never recommend this for anybody. If you're going to get into this area, as I said, get yourself a little better unit, a little more control. As I said, I've used this for years. I've had this for over 6 years now, and I've used it on and off over those periods of time. I used it consistently for a month, 0 results. So I wouldn't buy into any of this. And the people that sell this are delusional, uneducated fools listening to and actually are controlled by all these fake reviews of people claiming that they get great results from stuff. They don't. They don't get good results. It doesn't work. And if this $35 thing did what it was supposed to do, we wouldn't have any sick people at all. And the bottom line is that one prescription can cost you $100. Why wouldn't everybody own this? The bottom line, everybody doesn't own these because it doesn't work. And the fact that the supplier on this states the fact that he's got all these happy customers, well, why don't we go and talk to all your happy customers now? Not your feedback that, I bought this and I got the product, thank you, I love it. That's not a proper feedback. And the kind of people that buy this, particularly off of eBay and other places, are people that really aren't too bright and don't know anything. After all, they're the same people buying toxic enclosed poisons, otherwise called orgone, and horribly toxic resins that gas all the time and poison you. So we have to be very, very careful of what exactly is going on there with all of that. So it's very, very important to be informed, know what's happening. But again, like with everything, since it's bio-based, just like taking supplements and how do all these work, the bottom line is that you don't know because how does it react with you? But be careful that you're not falling into the delusional factor, the placebo effect. And everybody goes through this for a period of time. I got it. It seems to work for me. I'm feeling a little better. That's not good enough. Have you been, quote, taking care of a problem, quote, cured? That's number one. Number two, I don't want to hear about you in the first month or 2 months. Where are you a few months down the line? What has happened? And where is the actual figures or data that things have changed? Is there something happen within your biosystem that you get measured? Is your blood sugar down? Is your blood pressure down? Get some urinary tract strips. Are any of those numbers better or different because you're working with this technology? We have to prove stuff instead of living in an illusion of what works and doesn't work. And while we have to be extremely careful of traditional medicine, who loves to kill you, we have to be very careful of the polluted, toxic, and infiltrated industry of alternative healing, which is run by criminal elements. Whether you like it or not, that's the way it is. And if people don't you think criminals have to make a living other than beating people on the street? And of course, all the wonderful things Satanists do, like child molestation rings, people sex slaves, all the things that you get to support by being involved with all these kind of people. Do you really think that they only make money that way? The biggest con, just like the mafia is regular business. You go in regular businesses that are very profitable and you make them more profitable. As all those things go. So be aware, be awake. This is another thing that's been probably out there for about 10 years, if not longer. And the fact that some people like it, well, let's see the proof, baby. I've never got anybody to come forward and tell me how much of a proof of anything's work. And, your opinion, I'm afraid, isn't any good. You have any kind of proof? You have any doctor's reports that say that, you've got blood tests that say this passed. Now you got a blood test that says, well, something happened because you're better. So, in general. But, of course, if you want to use it as a placebo effect, what most people do with radionic devices, etc., that they use these things as psychic tuners and they kick in the psychic process to heal yourself. Well, this is the same thing that could happen here, is that you kick in the psychic process, which starts healing your body with your intent. That's what everybody does, and that's how 99% of the products out there work. But, we're trying to get past that placebo effect, that pure psychic biophysical empowerment. That's always part of everything. But we're trying to get past that into technology that really assists you, that really does something in the body and helps you get to higher levels, whether that's reaching gnosis, higher consciousness, whether it's thinking better, or whether it's working with some biophysical problem that you would like to alleviate, which everybody has. We're full of toxins, we're full of everything else. What do these things do? So it's still very much of a mystery because, as I said, the problem that goes on with all that. But certainly, this is far from a miracle anything. It's a cheapy little device that, from what I can see, and the frequencies here, the 14 to 15 hertz, does not really do anything. It certainly is not going to take care of major problems, parasites, or anything else. It's going to take a lot more than that. And you, again, certainly for this price, I guess everybody could try it to find out if it works for them. But you're just throwing your money down the drain. This is not good enough to do anything, particularly if you have some sort of serious problem. You're going to have to do something much better than that. And you ought to be getting into, no matter what your situation is for higher consciousness, success, everything that goes with it, Radionics is the answer. And Radionic Tech is the only people with viable, good radionic devices that work. And you have to work with them. You have to have a level of understanding and consciousness. That's what life is all about. Do you think stupid people should be breeding and prospering and they're going to heal themselves? Well, generally, you could call it the way the world or nature works is that, pretty much dumb people die. So if you're going to believe in dumb technology, and support dumb people, you ain't going to make it and you ain't going to ascend and you're not going to be successful. You're a stooge. And if you're a stooge, you're going to get what stooges get. No results and a dirt nap. Until next time.